Hello! You're live from the Political Vigilante World Headquarters, Graham Elwood. Graphics. The Political Vigilante. Truth. Justice. Sorry, that's all I can afford for the graphics, you guys. Let's pull it up on the big screen. Let me go to the live control room. Blah, 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 blah. I sound like some sports broadcaster. All right. Give me the scores on the fives. What? 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 Oh, Jimmy's live too? Oh, right. He didn't have his... I know, his... Oh, right. His internet went down yesterday. Oh. Well, Shelby Hall. You guys are watching us both. Well, you're awesome for watching us both. Thank you. Yeah, this is the only time I got to do it because I got to go to the sound mixers to finish episode 10 of the First Nations Comedy Experience. Thank you guys for watching. Now you got to go back and forth. Yeah, there was no other time for me to do it today. I'm sorry. Jimmy asked me to be on a show yesterday, but I was doing a charity event. This surf organization called AWOW, a walk on water, where they take special needs kids and put them on surfboards. It was really awesome. It was up in Malibu. It was very cool. But welcome, Carrie Nichols, Stephen Carnell, Shelby Hall, Chris Kroll. Oh, Shelby, good to hear your mom is better. I'm happy to hear that. She's got her insurance and everything. That's good. Well, we'll see you next week in Tempe. So many of you know, I'll be with Ron Placone doing the Progressive Comedy Tour in Tempe, Arizona next Wednesday. That's at the Tempe Improv. Tuesday that's Wednesday. Wow. Thursday we're at Pennington's Pub in Lake Havasu. Thursday we're at the Center for Science and Reason in Las Vegas. And no, that's Friday. Friday we're in Vegas, the 11th of May. May 12th we're at the Comedy Palace in San Diego. Summer Breeze 21. Thank you for joining us. She got insurance. Good to hear. Marcella Stevenson, hello. And also want to announce I'm going to be doing Political Vigilante live August 9th in Seattle. I just put the date on my at my calendar on grahamelwood.com. We're also going to be doing we're going to be in Nashville. Science and Reason is better than the Center for Religion and Nonsense, Shelby. You're fantastic. The episode you came to, Shelby, by the hall, by the way, since you were in the front row of the FNX, you're in some of the audience shots, so you're going to be famous soon. So June 20th, Ron Placone and I will be doing the Progressive Comedy Tour at Zanies in Nashville, and that is up on my website. We are also going to be doing these dates. The ticketing hasn't been put up yet, but they will be. But we're doing a little tour through the Mid-Atlantic states. So June 20th, we will be in Nashville. June 21st, we will be in Huntsville, Alabama. June 22nd, we will be in Asheville, North Carolina. June 23rd, we will be in Knoxville, Tennessee. And June 24th in Atlanta. So, I got to email those people stuff. Woo. But then, yeah, doing some shows in August up in Seattle as well. August 9th, Political Vigilante Live. The 11th, just doing stand-up with Mike Schmidt. We're both going to be up there. So if you're in Seattle, PV Live, tickets are on sale now. Brandon Williams, I don't really blame... I don't really blame the people of Milwaukee for not voting for Hillary Clinton. They probably know that Trump was going to do jack for them because he's a con artist. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody asked Stephen Carl, how do we watch the FNX shows out of customer area? Well, the only ways there's only 2 episodes online. If you go to fnx.org and go into the video section, you'll see it. Or if you go to the FNX Facebook page, you can watch episodes 1 and 2. If you don't get that channel in your area, there's no other way to see it. So what I would suggest is if you email your local PBS channel and say, please start carrying FNX. To get enough people bugging them, they might start carrying it. Summer Breeze 21. I feel like none of y'all ever come to the Northeast. We need comedy too. We will. We can't. We're trying. We're trying. It really comes down to, you know, what clubs or venues we have relationships with and who's willing to let us do it. And, you know, because if I don't know a club and I just email them through their website and say, oh, I'm a comedian, they might just be like, yeah, whatever, and they won't email me back. That's a thing that happens. The guy who runs the Punchline Comedy Club in Atlanta texted me. I haven't talked to him in several years because he saw me on the Jimmy Dore show and said, hey man, I heard about your tour. You want to come to Atlanta? So if you email some of these clubs and say, get this progressive comedy tour, or you know the club owners or any venue owner, and you know they're progressives, then really lean on them. So we'll try. We'll try to come everywhere. Stephen Carl, you can always watch 15 jackasses trying to be Bill Burr at any club in the Northeast. That's something, yeah. I'll try. Sonics fan 81. Hello, Graham. Enjoyed your Infinity War spoiler. Episode was great. Keep up the great work. Thanks, guys. If you like movie stuff, go to Comedy Film Nerds. We have a YouTube page. Subscribe to that. We post like the full episode of the podcast every week. And there's a bunch of videos you can watch. Chris Foster, day off tomorrow. Apparently it pisses off Teresa May Day or something like that. Ha Yes, Letix 8. Big Brother is watching. Shelby Hall, I saw Smash Brothers last Thursday. They are dirty but hilarious. Right on. Brandon Williams, I don't care if the Democrats keep saying vote for them because the Republicans are bad until you stand for something. Screw you and your corporate donors. Yep. Independent Outsider, please follow Elizabeth Voss on Twitter. Big Reconnect Julian event coming. Oh, right on. Yeah, so I'm going to have Elizabeth Voss back on the show. We have an interview scheduled, I think, for next week at some point. She's from Disobedient Media. I interviewed her a couple weeks ago, maybe no, a couple months ago. So definitely check her out. She's fantastic and does a lot of great work. And we'll be doing some other interviews coming up as well. Karen Sheets, vote blue in the primary and independents. Yeah. You know what I was thinking of today? What the Greens and the Democratic Socialists of America should do? They should go into very red districts. Districts where the Democratic Party doesn't put anyone up against them and run socialists. Same thing with the heavy blue districts. I was thinking about that in California because California, the central part of California is very agricultural and it can lean pretty red. And the Democrats just don't care because... And so if it's a Republican district, the Democrats won't run anyone serious against them. And I said, what if they did that? What if the Greens and the Democratic Socialists went into these red districts and said, actually, we care about workers' rights. The Democrats don't. We care about farmers, right? We care about, agricultural legislating. And you might go into these districts that are rarely contested by one party or the other. They're always blue, they're always red, and go into those districts and run that way. Because I think part of what the Greens do and the Democratic Socialists is they go after Democratic voters, which isn't a flawed strategy, I don't think. But I think to just assume that red Republican voters are never going to vote for you, I think is not true. I think they're more willing to vote for the Greens or the Democratic Socialists now more than ever, because they see how full of shit the Republicans are. Because they voted for Trump to be anti-interventionist and to get the small guy work, and he's not. He gave his buddies a big tax break, his rich buddies. He's doing all these wars he said he wouldn't do. I don't know. I'd like to see it. Maybe they are doing that. Chris Foster, was I surfing today? Yes, I was. It was awesome. I've got that red board right there is a new board. And it was handcrafted in the Kremlin with Putin, since that's who I surf with. But it's small. The shorter boards are more maneuverable. The longer boards are more about catching different types of waves. So the short board, I'm getting better at like cutting back on waves. It was so awesome. I caught this one wave and I came across the front, and then I cut down like that and cut back. And then as I was cutting back up to go across the face, the other wave, the two sections were connecting. And so I just like rode it up like a half pipe and then jumped off of it. It was awesome. I didn't plan it. It just like, woo, it was the greatest. Brandon Williams, how do you feel about millennials leaving the Democratic Party? Because I personally love it. Well, all they do is complain about avocado toast, so I'm fucking sick of those millennials. No, I think it's great. That's what Bernie Sanders did. He terrified the corporate state. He saw all these millennials going, nah, we're done, because he was talking socialism. And they know the polls. College kids, millennial, and especially now these high school kids that are protesting gun laws. And they're all just like, we're going, so like socialism isn't this dirty. When I was in college, if you said you were a socialist, it was like, ooh. Now, like, people are running as open socialists. I think it's great that millennials are just abandoning the Democratic Party. I want to see the Democratic Party just wither and die because they just are doing the worst crap. They've so let us down. They piss me off so much. I'm glad millennials are leaving. Kong Fuzi, LOL, branding. Love the party, but with no policy. F that. Carrie Nichols, the Farm Bill was created for small farmers to feed America and not meant for corporations that get the funds now. I don't understand why Democratic Socialists don't use this to fight for farmers. It's a great point, Carrie. That's what I'm saying. Go fight for farmers. Go into the reddest of red states and fight for working class people. You'll turn those states. They're ready to go. I bet you if you went to West Virginia, places like that, they would just boom. Shelby Hall, thank you for supporting the show, guys. If you're new to the program, there's a little dollar icon down there. You press that. It's a great way to support the program, and your question gets put up, and I will absolutely answer it. Shelby Hall, who I will see next week in Tempe. Glad your mother's doing better. Wall Street thinks that higher wages equal inflation. That's why they'll never raise wages. They borrow money for nothing now and have kept interest rates low. Well, they know higher wages don't increase inflation. They tell Americans that. They get us to buy that, to go, oh, see what happens when you raise minimum wage, there goes inflation. They're telling, they've done an amazing job over the last 4 or 5 decades, a marketing propaganda job to get large sections of America to go, yeah, you know, higher wages means higher inflation. That's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. I did that video about that article that was done by a Nobel laureate economist who was like, this wage inequity was manufactured. It wasn't just like, oh, the markets have kind of created. No, they've set this up. And one of the things they've set up is we don't want to pay people good wages. If people were getting good wages and there was advancements and plenty of good jobs because they weren't shipped overseas and there wasn't NAFTA and the TPP and that bullshit, guess what? We wouldn't have 50 million people living in poverty in this country. 50 million. What is that? 15% of the country is living in poverty, living in it. Not to mention the other 80% of the country, which is close to poverty. So Yeah, Shelby, they borrow the money. The government bails them out. And that keeps interest low, which is good for them, basically. And then they say, oh, the stock market's doing well, and this, that, and the other thing. It's bullshit. And they're all just greedy dicks. They're greedy dicks. Shelby Hall, right. The financial analysis last week were ridiculous. Couldn't understand why their wages remain low. Yeah, they just cook these numbers and release these reports. Right, I did that video that's like, oh, unemployment's down. All right, economy must be good. Wrong. If we had paid internships or apprenticeships, it would change lives. Oh yeah, of course. These corporations, the 1%ers, could give away half of their wealth in jobs and benefits and all this stuff, and lift up billions of people's lives around the planet, and they would still have the most comfortable, opulent life you could ever possibly have. And they won't do it because they're just selfish and greedy. Drives me nuts. Shelby Hall, back in the 80s, interest rates were higher, but people could put money in CDs, bonds, all sorts of things outside of the stock market. Not anymore. Absolutely. That was the advantage. The interest rates were at 12, 15% or whatever. So it was high. It was if you got a loan, but if you put that into a like a savings account, actually made money. You could put in all kinds of bonds and CDs and all this stuff. And it would make you'd make real interest. Now you can't, there's nothing you can invest in that's going to pay off any real money. Unless you're, part of the 1% that owns 85% of all stocks. 85% of all stocks are owned by the 1%. And you think you got a shot. I used to try to play a stock market. I'd put a couple of grand in there. I didn't know. I mean, it was nuts. They just cooked the books. Taj Marie, since you are on the topic of jobs, the notion that there is a shortage of people with STEM skills is pretty much a myth that they push to depress wages of those in engineering and IT. Yeah. It's all ridiculous. They have manipulated the entire system, right? A shortage of people with STEM skills. So there's not enough people. Yeah, that's the thing they say. It's ridiculous. Brandon Williams, when will these corporations realize they need average American people? Because what happens if 70% of those people can't buy the things that the corporations want them to get? Yeah, that's the thing. They have to know this. Like, they have to know that if all anyone can buy is just the basic necessities for life, what happens? I saw it in 2008, right? When the big recession hit. And no one was buying anything. No one was buying anything. And I was on the road in 2009, and some people would come out to shows because they needed to laugh because things were so bad, but it was like selling merchandise after shows was like, okay, but they would like, people couldn't afford to buy anything, and a ticket to a comedy show and then buying a comedian's, CD or t-shirt or something like that was like, oh, I don't know. It's a lot, an extra $20 on top of the $50 I just spent for my, significant other and I to come to the show. Oh, it was hard, man. And if it happened, when the recession happens again, 2 recessions in 10 years, 10, 11 years, whenever it's coming, if it doesn't happen this year, it'll happen next. What are people going to do? Yeah, no one's going to be able to buy anything. And, Obama did the cars for cash and little things like that. Okay, but what are you going to do? People can't buy houses. People can't buy cars. People can't buy anything. It won't matter. Plantastic wife. Wife. You're my plantastic wife. Plantastic life. Dominic, thank you for supporting the show. I don't watch mainstream media, so I'm wondering if they covered the UN investigation of extreme poverty in the U.S. No, barely. I saw like one little, they didn't talk about it. It should have been it should have dominated the 24/7 news cycle for days and weeks. It should have. That should have been earth-shattering. Like, wait a minute. There's places and people in America that are living in third world country conditions in this country. Whoa, wait a minute. Plantastic life? Some UN study. Just like when they always, every year, every once a year, they always release some study. Well, chocolate makes you sexier or makes you happy, or some stupid chocolate survey. A glass of red wine actually increases your, Okay. What alcoholic came up with that study? I watch, if you have Netflix, I highly recommend watching Bobby Kennedy for President. It's a 4-part documentary series. And in my opinion, Netflix does really good. They're doing these new documentary series. It's like they'll take a subject matter that just you can't, it's too dense of a subject or too much time to just talk about in 90 minutes or 2 hours. So this was like 4 hours basically. And Bobby Kennedy, back in the late 60s, was traveling to Mississippi and places like that and saw people living in third world country conditions. Bobby Kennedy changed his tune. Like in the late 50s and early 60s, I mean, he signed as Attorney General, he signed the order to wiretap Martin Luther King. He signed it. He started to change his tune and realize, wait a minute, we need to do more. That's 50 years ago. 50 years ago, he was talking about we got to end the war. He was like, we're spending $70 billion to go to Vietnam. We need to spend it back here. He was saying the same thing we're saying now. Only the war budget back in the 60s was $70 billion a year. Now it's over $700 billion. That's the war budget. So it's like, so no, they didn't cover it. The mainstream media doesn't want to talk about the abject poverty that's in America right now. For all of Trump's awful, sexist, racist, hate-filled bullshit, he did touch onto that. All the people in the middle of the country who were like, and all of us on the coasts and in the nice cities with our, white-collar, college-educated jobs are like, what are you talking about? The economy seems all right. Have you traveled through the middle of the country? There's places that look tough, man. I hear from you guys. I hear from people like Redneck Economics and telling me what's going on, and it's like, wow. And when I travel through the country, I see it. Thank you for supporting the show, Plantastic Life. Sean Comitz. 1.5 jobs I need to work to be okay in Denver. My company CEO I work gets $5 million a year, not including the stock options. You kick ass, Graham. Thanks for pointing that out, Sean. $5 million a year, not including stock options. He could take your CEO at your company. You got to work a half a job, right? You got to drive Uber on the side or something probably. That guy could take $2 million, spread it out over his employees to give you better money and better benefits, and still live on $3 million a year. I mean, come on. And then needs, not counting, I'm sure he gets big fat bonuses too. I would think, God, if I made $5 million a year and gave away half of it or more than half, and saw the reaction of people whose lives I was helping make better, that would be so much better than what? Having another vacation home in Aspen? Good God, if you're making $500 grand a year, you can go on a bunch of amazing vacations. Like, you can go on just amazing 5-star vacations. You don't have to own a resort or own your own. You can, like, I mean, yeah, you got to go to some 5-star resort and, interact with the riffraff. just preposterous. Sean, thank you for supporting the show, and thank you for, like, you're working 1.5 jobs and you're supporting this show. I really appreciate it, man. It's why I feel like beholden to you guys to keep doing this. Catalytic Senator, hello from Germany. Willkommen. Catalytic Senator, there is a coercement into precarious jobs. A job really should make sense and people not be driven into bullshit jobs out of fear of unemployment. Oh, yeah. And you keep raising the cost of everything, rent and every cost of living, then it's like, exactly, I got to go do this job. I don't want to do it. It's not great. It's not safe. It's not good for my, but, and then there's this attitude of, well, your job has to be shitty. You have to just have a shitty job that you don't like. I'm so blessed I get to do this, man. I get to do what I love. This morning I was watching footage from episode 10 of the First Nation Comedy Experience. Then I get to do this. Then tonight I go to the sound mixer's studio and we finish the sound mix. And tomorrow I drive to San Bernardino and go and edit the show. It's a lot of work and traveling stuff, but I dig it. I really like doing it. And I realize most people don't get that opportunity to do something they really dig. Because it's like, you got to pay your bills, you got to pay your bills. It's insane. Stephen Carl, I'm in Santa Cruz County. I work, I do side work, and my wife works. We struggle every month. We don't have extra, have cheap interwebs, and our bills are still $5K a month. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I hear that story time and time again. My wife and I, my husband and I, we both work. We both have jobs. We do this stuff on the side. I mean, it's just like unbelievable. We're barely getting by. Plus, we don't teach financial education in this country. I would read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I would read Financial University, I believe. The Dave Ramsey book. Those really help me manage money and think like a rich person does. That's what Rich Dad, Poor Dad is all about. Because if you're middle class or poor, you weren't raised to look at money and see, how can I use my money to make more money? You're not taught that. You're taught how to get a job and be a consumer and open up a bank account and go into debt. That's what we're taught. And then the system's broken. Shelby Hall, fear of losing health insurance is a huge reason for staying in shitty jobs. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Bradley B, vote D, it's before R. I don't know about that. I'm not just going to blanket vote for Democrat, friend. Shelby, Virginia insurers are saying premiums will increase 65% due to killing the individual mandate. God, that's horrifying. Hey, Casey the 11. Hey, Graham, hope you got my check. Kirk from Fontana, Wisconsin. Yes, I did. I had it here somewhere. I thought I had the letter. But thank you. Yeah. I want to read this, you guys. This is something you can do handwritten if you want to support the show and send it to the P.O. box. I really appreciate it. It's really cool, and I save all these letters. So it says, hey, Graham, I wish it could be more and more frequently given. Don't ever apologize, you guys. Whatever you can give me, I appreciate it. Don't ever apologize. All of you are telling me I've worked 2-3 jobs. Don't apologize. Whatever you can give, man, I'm down. There are many times your show is the brightest part of the day, although the subject matter is too frequently legitimate gloom and doom. Then there are the times you bring your empathy and vulnerability into view, and that let folks see how real tough guys can approach conflict. How refreshing that is. You just call me a pussy? No, I'm kidding. I know. I'm sorry. I'm going to make this is a very touching letter. The humor you manage to interject helps a lot too. I recently had many long minutes of hard therapeutic belly laughs and ended up with a long wet face from funny tears of your slip of the tongue on the C word. Yeah, that's funny. when mentioning cults. Too funny. Great recovery. Got to say, you are a classy dude. Thank you, Kay. I really appreciate these letters. Warm my heart, and that's what I want this show to be. This show is me. It's a reflection of this is who I am. I'm not, no producers in my ear. No one's telling me what to say or do. I try to bring as much information and shed as much light on stuff that is not being reported as much as I can. And I try to interject humor into it. And I know these are tough subjects, and sometimes I get emotional when I talk about them, and that's all right. And thank you for saying that about the see how real tough guys can approach conflict. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is you know, we've talked about toxic masculinity on this show, and that's such a problem in America. Is, you know, if men express themselves emotionally or show any vulnerability, they're considered weak. I've had women tell me that. Oh, when I see a guy cry, I consider him weak, which is a bummer. And then it's perpetuated by the military-industrial complex and sports, the NFL, and all that other stuff. So I'm just trying to be as much who I am as I possibly can be on this show. This is exactly who I am. This is where I live. There's my surfboard. This is my bike jacket I wear because I'm a safety nerd. You know, as Darius says, it's like a golf referee or something. And the fact that you guys would take time out of your day to come to this show, to watch my videos, to write me letters, and send me your hard-earned money is like humbling. It's humbling and also motivational. It you know, you guys inspire me. So thanks, dude. Oh, Natural Progressive, what's up? I know you just had a new foal. I don't know all the horse terms. You had a horse baby? Not you personally, but one of your horses had a horse baby? I mean, if you had a horse baby, that might be weird. I'm not judging, though. Maybe you identify as a horse. Thank you for supporting the show. Any news on interview with Shapoos? Anyone with Ute Tribe? There is so much going on. Love your commentary. First of all, thanks for supporting the show. I have not had any contact with them. I have tried to reach back out. They've been pretty busy. And what happened when I first reached out to Sean Shapoos, who, for those, just a background. So the Ute Pack that I've talked about before, that's the organization of indigenous tribes that is fighting to protect Bears Ears and other national monuments, mainly in Utah. So there's this gentleman, Sean Shapoos, that Natural Progressive has turned me on to, and I've been trying to set up an interview with him, but the whole tribe and the whole organization is like, let's make sure, you know, this is a real, you know, that I'm not some wingnut. But I also sent him his contact person over to the Jimmy Dore show, because I'd really love for him to be on that. I'd love to interview him too, but like if he's on Jimmy Dore show, then it'll bring even more exposure to their cause. So I'm working on it, and I appreciate you supporting the show. Excuse me. And whenever you're done with your horse babies, you know, you got some Skype interviews coming. So thank you for supporting the show. And girl babies, 2 fillies, girl babies. Okay, sweet. Let's see. Carrie Nichols, I just lost my coverage. Luckily, my son and husband didn't lose theirs. My husband is disabled, and my 16-year-old son became legally blind from inflammation on his brain. Carrie, I'm so sorry to hear that. And I'm sorry, that just should not happen. Like, not having health care in this country just should not happen. It just shouldn't happen. I'm just so done with it. I'm so done with watching this war budget. A friend texted me and said, Graham, I saw you on the Jimmy Dore show and you talk about the military budget. He goes, I'm sorry to nitpick, but I think you should start calling it the war budget, because that's what it is. Military budget is too soft of a term. And I said, you're right. I'm going to start saying that. So now I'm calling it the war budget. because that's what it is. It's all about war. War, 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 war. So, yeah. So if we could cut the war budget in half, then Carrie Nichols, you should have health coverage. We all should have it. Tajmir, if anyone is interested in an alternative to infinite capitalism, they should read Steady State Economy. Cool. Chris Foster says governments are supposed to work for the benefit of the majority. Society is more than an economy. Yep. Live Vegan. Graham, please interview Steve Grumbine of Real Progressives about MMT, monetary. That's the monetary thing, right? All right, Natural Progressive. Email me through Patreon so we can set up a time. It'd be great to talk to you again. Carrie Nichols, yeah, it is scary. I have an autoimmune disorder, and I just pray it stays where it is at least for a year. Thank you, Shelby. I know you know. Yeah, man. I'm sorry you're going through that. And I hope it works out for you. I wish there was something more I could say or do, but I'm sorry you're going through that. Shelby Hall, death to poor brown people budget. Yeah, that's what we should call the war budget. Cyberclue, yep, it's not the Department of Defense, it's the Department of Offense, and it's really offensive, yep. Basil Peterson, I have a small off-grid farm and have like-minded neighbors, small community, and more people get involved all the time. Finger Lakes, New York. Right on. I'd love to do some shows in New York. I'm going to Manhattan the end of May, but I'm trying to set up shows there, and I just didn't get ahead of it in time. I'm real sorry. I was trying to set, still might, but it's New York, and it's busy, and a lot of those clubs and theaters book way in advance, and I didn't get out ahead of it in time, so. But I'm going to be on the Nikki Glazer Comedy Central show and Keith and the Girl and another podcast. Jake, used to be called the War Department, more honest. Yeah, then they sanitized it. Made it sound nice, neat, clean, you know? Lisa Leo 27, greetings from Vladis. I am a bleeding heart libertarian, and we believe in the NAP. We need the bloated kill and stuff budget, aka defense and control. Yeah. Lisa, I hope you can join Ron Placone and I. We're doing a show next Friday in Las Vegas. If you go to grahamelwood.com, you get links to the show. We're just Ron and I. We're doing our stand-up comedy acts, but we're putting in all our political progressive material that doesn't go over that well when we do crowds of either conservatives or neoliberals. So I hope you can make it to the show. It is Friday, May 11th. Next Friday, we are in Vegas performing. Check it out. Yeah, bring your progressive peeps out there. I guarantee you there's no progressive comedy show anywhere on the strip that night. I guarantee. I know all the comedians and all the comedy clubs, and they're not, and I know the type of crowds that go to those casino gigs because I've done casino gigs for 20 years, and if I see anybody with a yard of beer around their neck walking around with a Make America Great hat or I'm still with her or something, I'm going to say you're at the wrong show. So bring your progressives that live in Vegas. Bring them out. Because that's the other thing you want to support the show, guys. Any of the cities that Ron and I are coming to perform in, the more people that show up, the more ticket sales, the more we can go do this in other cities. We got to just try it and see how it goes. But if we only sell 15 tickets, it's like, I don't know if we can come back. If we start selling 80, 100 tickets or more, then it makes sense. Boom. Check out Angie Morelli. She was DNC delegate for Bernie. Ooh, tell her to come to the show. I'll comp her in. Chris Foster, same in the UK. The War Department became the Department of Defense. Yeah, defense. Stephen Carl, you and Ron should plot a 2018 UFO tour a la Hicks. That's funny. Natural Progressive, wish I could go. So close, but so far away. Why don't you just ride one of them horses down to Vegas, right? Bring your whole stampede and just ride into town. Woo-hoo, and lasso me up. It'll be great. Stephen Carl, the Pentagon recently announced they can't account for $21 trillion. Same as the reported national debt, oddly enough. God. $21 trillion. You know what 21 trillion with the T dollars could do? Name any problem in America. It's fixed. With $21 trillion dollars? I mean, there could be no war or poverty anywhere in the world. $21 trillion. You can't even fathom what that kind of money is. All right. Fantastic Life. Carrie Nichols, I'm a registered dietitian. Check out my website. Lots of info there for free. Awesome. Thank you, guys. It's so cool watching you help each other out when one of you is going through something. I really like seeing that. That's what political vigilantes do. Shelby Hall, how the fuck do you lose a $21 trillion? I don't know. It was like, I thought it was in this pocket. I had the 21 trillion, but then I put it in my wall, and then I put it on my dresser. And then I put the 20, I thought maybe the 20, maybe it's in my car. It might be in the glove box. Sometimes I put my wallet in my glove box when I search, you know what I mean? It could be there. It's just 21 trillion. I don't know why we got to crawl up my ass for it. Basil Peterson, Graham, you and Jimmy are well liked here in Ithaca, New York, but surrounded by Appalachia with many poor dying cities. Well, I tell you what I want to start doing. Jake, look in the fridge. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I put the 20, I was making a smoothie and I had the 21 trillion in my hand and I like grabbed the frozen blueberries and I probably just put the 21 trillion. You know, you get mixed up and you like, I've done that with my car keys. So one of you brought up the, about upstate New York and Basil had brought this up. Surrounded by Appalachia and many poor cities. I was having this conversation actually with Panda Activist at Actify Chat. And one thing I want to start doing, it's going to take a little money, but I want to start going around the country. The way Abby Martin goes to like the Middle East and Central America and shows the poverty and the war and the corruption and all that stuff, I want to do it here in America. I want to cover the stuff that they are not covering in the mainstream media, and I'm going to start doing that. So one of the things I'm going to do when we do that tour in June, so we're going to Nashville June 20th, Huntsville, Alabama the 21st, Asheville, North Carolina the 22nd, Knoxville, Tennessee the 23rd, and Atlanta the 24th. So we're driving in a different city every day. We're going to be doing a lot of driving. By that time, it's too late to do it for next week, but I will buy like a decent camera because I do this show on my iPhone. But I want to get a decent camera with a microphone, and I want to start going around and interviewing people. And just say, what's life like here? Just tell me, what do you think? And do some interviews and show people with a camera. Look at this poverty. Look at this, look what's happening. And if I really got some serious money put together, I will just go on some political vigilante, like media, like go shoot, like a document. I mean, I'm a documentary filmmaker, baby. I'll go do this. So Maybe set up a Political Vigilante live somewhere to subsidize it. I know I could do that. But again, if I can sell the tickets and make the money and it pays for the travel and gives me money to, pay my bills and stuff, and I'll go to Chile and do a show and interview people, I want to do that. I want to show everyone, look what's happening, and talk to people and hear your stories face to face. Oh, I lost my job. I don't have insurance. They closed this thing down. I have to, how are you getting by for bills? I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do 3 jobs. I want to do that, man. I want to do that. Because CNN ain't doing it. MSNBC ain't doing it. And then meet all of you and do interviews with you. Yeah. I want to go into red states where it's depressed and there's poverty, and I want to see it. Shelby Hall, I would love to see an in-depth series on downtown Detroit. I drove through a few years back. It looked like a war zone. Yeah, absolutely. Natural progressive. I would get a room for you here with my points. Cool. Right on. Tyler Enfinger, I really don't think most Americans care about other Americans. Tyler, I understand where that cynicism comes from. I really do. I really do. But I think the reason they don't is they're not informed. That's why I would do it. Because you watch whatever MSNBC, Fox, whatever, you watch that and then you have this idea. And then you go on the internet and the internet just reflects back to you what you like. And people can be pretty rude and awful on the internet. So I think if you really showed Americans what was going on and you started to unify people, that's what Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy were trying to do. They wanted to help poor people. They both got killed for it. But I think if you did that, I think you would, way more Americans would start to wake up and go, holy shit. I think they would. I think you would. I mean, W. Kwamu Bell has been trying, he does that series on CNN. I don't know if it's still on because I don't have CNN anymore, but he did some interesting stuff. Because he's a comedian and he went to meet with a Klan guy and stuff like this. But I want to really show poverty. I want to show the poverty. I want to show how failed capitalism and the wealth inequities in this country and what it really looks like up close. And show because the majority of Americans live in big cities. Right? And there's a big city and everything's nice and there's malls and jobs and everything. And there's a couple of homeless people, but you know what I mean? I don't think they're realizing like average Americans are out there struggling and what that struggle looks like and what the conditions look like. That's what I want to do. And I think, Tyler, that would wake people up. And I think Americans would start caring more about it. We're a very divided country right now. There's no two ways about it. But I think that would actually unify people. Tyler, you would think, but most middle and upper class don't really care about the poor people. Yes, that's class warfare. But I think there's a lot of middle class people who, middle class and upper middle class, that don't realize how bad it is. And they don't realize there's something they can do about it. There are very wealthy people who are just greedy and selfish, and we're bred to be selfish in this country. That's what capitalism is all about. Be selfish. Beat the other person to get their job, make more than them, exploit the worker, whatever. That's what it's designed to do. That's what it is designed to do. But I think there's a lot more people out there that give a shit, especially if you show them what's really happening here. I think, maybe I'm being naive. I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive. But I think you could change things. Michael Stiegel Jr., the general attitude of most Americans is they don't want to get involved. Yeah, but that's changing. Way more people are involved now than they were a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. Trust me, they are. I'm seeing it right here, right now. Tyler, I just get labeled a socialist when I care about people. Then go, yeah, I am. Socialism is about caring for people. It's not socialism, remind people, is not the evil Soviet Union. Socialism is about taking care of everybody. Social. That's what it's about. Cyber Clue. Well, Tyler, most Americans will care about the poor because the middle class and upper middle class is being destroyed, so there will only be rich class and a poor class. Yeah. People are going to care way more about the poor because they're all going to be close to it or living in it or actually being poor very soon. Sam Tripoli says, the problem with most Americans is that we'd rather be right than do right. Yeah. But when you confront people with it, when you show them that, and you show them here's a solution, then I think some things change. There's always going to be people who go, there's always going to be people complaining. There's always going to be whiny, complaining assholes. They're like, what's the point of that? What's that going to do? Fuck them. I always say, so we should do nothing? I was talking to a comic last year about when Measure H passed. I've talked about it before. It's this measure they passed in Los Angeles. They're putting like hundreds of millions of dollars to combat the homeless problem. He goes, oh yeah, that'll do it. And I said, so what should we do? Nothing? We should do nothing. We should vote for nothing, no tax dollar, nothing. Just do nothing and let it fix itself. And he was like, oh, I see what. His just gut reaction was just to fucking complain. So show them that. Stable Genius Progressive. How do I mend fences and unite with other Americans, mostly rednecks in the middle of this country who want me dead? Well, that's a good point. I understand there's a lot of hatred in this country. It's why I think labor, helping everybody get a job, would help. And I know there's a lot of people who are just like, no, I'm a God-loving Christian. That's why I have a gun so I can kill queers with it. Or like they don't even see the hypocrisy of the craziness that they say. I understand that. And if you're living in the middle of that, man, I can only imagine. I live in hippie Southern California. So I understand that. I understand that. And that's why I would come at it again from a socialist perspective of it's about helping everybody. And I always ask questions. Well, didn't Jesus want to help everybody? Didn't Jesus want to help the poor? Shouldn't we all be doing what Jesus was doing? Joshua Pegg, we are indoctrinated from elementary school on that everything is a competition rather than taught cooperation as a way for the whole to succeed. Yeah. So one of the things you can do is live that way. It's easy to fall into fuck them. I think about some of these Trumpers and these rednecks, and I get mad too. I can go fuck them. They've ruined everything. But if I say, shouldn't we all work together? I think most people, especially Americans, somewhere in their core believe that is what works. And accepting someone who has a different point of view, and just so we can all have a better life, is worthwhile. I don't know. Plantastic Life, thanks for supporting the show. Guys, if you hit the $, you get your question put up here. Plantastic Life, what is California doing about its homelessness problem? It's amazing the 7th largest economy in the world has a homelessness problem. First of all, I just read a new report. California is now the 5th largest economy in the world. I don't know about the whole state of California, But I know that Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles passed in November of 2016. I think it was called Measure H. And they are spending a lot of money. This is through Mayor Garcetti, who I think has eyes on running for the White House. And I think he's done a pretty decent job as a mayor. And what I think it was LA County passed it because I got to vote for it. So in LA, so what it's doing is it's spending money on housing for the poor or for the homeless, building housing. Also, there's a lot of, they're also going to start to offer people who have a backyard. They'll pay you to put a little tiny house. One of those, if you've ever seen those like one bedroom, like, I don't know, something crazy like 150 square feet, but they're very efficient in your backyard to get somebody off the street. Give them a home and a shower and a bed and a little kitchen. And they're actually offering, they're going to pay you. So if you have a backyard, they'll put one of these tiny houses in your backyard and pay you for it. Rising home prices, mortgages, taxes, that's a very appealing thing. They're also doing mobile showers because in downtown Los Angeles, there is literally Skid Row. There's these really, downtown LA has nice new hotels and the Staples Center and all this. And then there's just unbelievable, just 2 blocks of just homeless like you've never seen. Like some refugee camp, you know, in some third world country after a war or something. There is a war. It's a war against the poor. So that's what Los Angeles is doing because it's up to each city to deal with its own homeless problem. Santa Monica, where I live, has, you know, they've opened up more shelters. There's mobile showers and mobile feeding places starting to pop up because they've noticed that the showering and the clean clothes is a big barrier to getting somebody back into society. How can you go on a job interview if you fucking smell like hell and you've got dirty clothes? And it affects your psychology. You're like, your self-esteem is shot. All of it's horrible. So if you get somebody, here's a shower. And there's also doing mobile laundry services. Because how do you do laundry if you're living on the street? So they're doing a lot of things like that, and they're just starting to take effect this year. What the long-term effect will be, who knows? But I think a couple years down the road, we'll be able to see. I'm hoping we'll start to see a noticeable difference in getting more people off the streets and getting more people integrated back into society and getting them the health care and all that stuff. That's what the money that they're spending. So that's what it looks like, Dominic. And thank you for supporting the show. NPK knowledge. I see a revolution coming as well. That's why the left wants to take guns away from the law-abiding people they disagree with. Oh boy. No, there's the crazy gun deaths. This country is the most heavily armed country in the world. It's like 30,000 handgun deaths a year. They're automatic weapons, that's not the left trying to take guns away from law-abiding people so they can start a civil war and it's more even. That's preposterous. Cyberclue, I'd like to super chat you, but right now I'm funding Yaffe and Hartson to help purge Pelosi and Feinstein. Money well spent. Absolutely. Absolutely. Get Pelosi and Feinstein out of there. The primary in California is June 5th. So look over your ballot and pick progressives and pick third party and get these corporate Democrats out of there. Carrie Nichols, my son was homeless in San Francisco for a couple of weeks. It was a crazy experience for him. Yeah, I can sure. Hey, natural progressive. Utah hides their homeless problem, ships them out, had a small program to give some an apartment, not nearly enough, then blasted all over. They figured out tiny houses aren't allowed anywhere here. Wow. Yeah, that shipping homeless people out is not going to work in the long run, not when the next recession happens. Like there's going to be tent cities just about everywhere in America when the next recession hits. You got this many people on the brink of poverty and then this goes away and the economy goes away. What are you going to do? Everyone's going to become a Lyft and Uber driver? What are you going to do? People can't afford Lyft and Uber. They're going to take public transportation. What are they going to do? So thank you for sharing that with us, Natural Progressive. And I've heard about other states doing that. They just ship people out. But I've also found there's little cities that have done things to help give the homeless jobs and education and healthcare and mental health care and drug treatment and all this stuff to get them back out. You know? I see a homeless and I go, wow, the system has failed you. I don't like, oh, the dirty homeless. The system has failed you. What created this? What caused this problem? It's like, and the fact that tiny houses aren't allowed, why aren't tiny houses allowed in Utah? They don't want people to have the dignity of their own home in a very efficient and small carbon footprint way? Like we're all supposed to have these big mammoth houses? That's like, that doesn't make sense to me at all. Thanks for supporting the show. Marsha Smith, thank you for supporting the show. Just a little extra love. Tim Canova's on Jimmy's live stream right now. Awesome! That's got to be rad, talking to Tim Canova. I don't blame anybody if you jump over to that. Thank you for supporting the show. And Natural Progressive with your new horse babies. Oh man, I'd love to see Canova oust Wasserman Schultz. Me too. That would be great. Marcia Smith, I think we all hope for that, Cyber Clue, absolutely. Natural Progressive, they can give them jobs that also help the cities clean up and be better places. That's such a great point. There's so many things you could do that would solve multiple problems. Like Shelby Hall said, I did psych nursing for the homeless here in Phoenix. It was a revolving door. They'd sign them up for Medicaid, hold them, turn a profit, then let them go. All to start over again a few days later, right? Or we could do what Carrie Nichols is talking about. The tiny homes will create communities of people working together for a better world, and the state can't have that. Yeah. I mean, look at me, you got a bunch of tiny homes together and put homeless people in there and gave them ownership of their community. Put a community garden in there. Put a community center with classes and working out and nutrition and job training. There's all that stuff so easily done. But when you spend $700+ billion a year on war, where's the money for that? See how the corporate state has made people look down and demonize the poor and the homeless? Must be your fault that you're homeless or poor. You didn't work hard enough. You didn't hustle. You know, you're a quitter or whatever it is. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Yeah, I always love when privileged people that were given all of these opportunities say that. Yeah, if you work hard in that environment, in that infrastructure of support, then yeah, you succeed. But the people who say that, I guarantee you none of them grew up like where there was gangs and drugs and they didn't have a series of bad things happen to them and then the government wasn't there to bail them out. I guarantee that. Yeah, Natural Progressive, better than seeing them beg at every intersection. Shelby Hall, until the profit motive is taken out of healthcare, nothing will change. Most homeless are either mentally ill or have substance abuse. Yeah. NPK knowledge. Do you see the child sex trafficking issue that is coming to light, bringing the left and right together to destroy this evil? Already attached to Rothschilds. Yeah, I did an article on that, and it's like that woman from Smallville that was like attracting. A woman was going to young women saying this is a woman's empowerment thing, and then bring them in there and then blackmail them into doing sex and all this stuff. It was awful. It's evil. Yeah, I hope everyone comes together and takes that out. It just drives me nuts. Stable genius progressive. The homeless people I see in many cases aren't in any shape to work, though. For those cases, those people need to be in a very supervised situation if they will get better. Absolutely. And there's money to do that. They need real health care. They need real mental health care. You know? And maybe they just can't function in society unless they are, you know, in, you know, hospice living or something like that. Okay, fine. We have the money to do that. I mean, it's like, yeah, we have the money to do that. And they shouldn't be living on the streets. They shouldn't be living on the streets. Michael Stiegel Jr. I was listening to the latest episode of Road Stories podcast, and the guest had made an interesting point about how we invade other countries based on the devaluation of the dollar. Yeah, well, Iran just said they're going to stop using the dollar and switch to the euro, so all of a sudden they now have weapons of mass destruction, according to Netanyahu. I mean, that's just how it works. Gaddafi said, I'm not using the dollar anymore. Boom. Saddam said it. Boom. Anyone says that, we go after them. Right? So, Joshua Pegg, universal basic income, universal healthcare, universal university. Yeah, absolutely. It's all there. We could pay for all this. Shelby Hall. Talking about the homeless. Some are beyond repair, but others can really turn around given the right care. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good discussion, you guys. Don't forget, guys, many ways to support the show. Go to the Patreon page, patreon.com/Graham Elwood. God, I spelled that like an idiot. And also, I say this a lot, but keep subscribing to the channel because YouTube is unsubscribing people, and hit the bell. You should get a notification. You still might not because they're not sending out notifications to every subscriber, which is nonsense, but a great way to support the show. What else do we got here? Chris Foster, the elite spend their whole lives with their heads up their own ass. Is it surprising they view the world as a dark, shitty place? No. No, it's not. Shelby Hall, I always called my homeless patients by name and looked them in the eye. So many people won't even look at a homeless person. It mattered to them. It made them feel like people. You know, when I don't have like money, I try not to give them money because I don't want them to buy drugs and alcohol. But they ask, I always look them in the eye and go, oh, sorry, I don't have any. Or I'll go, hey, do you want a candy bar? You know, like I'll have a protein bar or something. And they always go, you know, when they ask and I go, I'm sorry, I don't have that right now, man, but have a great day. And they always look like, yeah, you too, and thank you. They'll thank you because so many people don't even look at them. They just walk by them like they're, you know, I would say like they're a dog, but if they were a dog, they'd stop, oh, what are you doing? It's a homeless dog. The whole community would get together and give the animal food. And oh, so we got to do something about this. A person, screw them. Nah, pull yourself out of your bootstraps. Work a little harder. I've seen dogs, I know a lot of pet owners. I'm sure many of you are pet owners. And I've seen dogs, they're great. They do so many things. There's security, companionship, all this stuff. But I've seen in our society, just like the dog is treated, way better than we treat our own people. It's crazy to me. It's misguided. It's like shooting after mass shooting after mass shooting. Oh, we can't figure out how to do gun reform. We can't figure it out. But United Airlines puts one dog in a bin and the dog dies. Within 48 hours, there was a bill on the Senate floor. 48 hours. Never again. Done. They didn't just go, hey, thoughts and prayers on your dog dying. Sorry, thoughts and prayers. It's a dog. Nope. 48 hours, they got a new law passed. Anyway. Stable Genius Progressive. I do like dogs better than people. I'm guilty on that one. Well, human beings can do really awful stuff, but human beings can also do great stuff. Polio vaccine was not, that didn't come up from a dog. Dogs are great. They're great companions, but they don't love. They're incapable of love. They only bond. And, human beings can do really awful, mean, shitty things, and human beings can do great things. Moonlight Sonata wasn't written by a dog. It was written by a person. Chris Foster, I think that there should be a government-funded program that trains homeless people to build their own homes, give them work, self-respect, a place to live, and marketable skills. Yeah. Absolutely. There's so many things we could do. Cadillac dogs are very capable of love. Well, I talked to a military dog trainer that said dogs don't love, they bond. They bond and show affection, but it's not love. That's a complicated emotion that the dog brain doesn't possess. They bond with the person that's in control. Like if you stop feeding your dog and your neighbor starts feeding, then they're going to start going to your neighbor's house. I'm just saying. That's what a military dog trainer told me. Natural Progressive. All living things deserve respect, and animals, children are the most innocent of all living things. Absolutely. Absolutely. All living things deserve respect. And a homeless person is a living thing. Some, as we've been discussing, suffer such severe mental illness that there's not much they can function in society, but they still deserve to be in like a shelter and cared for and looked after. But many just aren't given the respect, the treatment, if they got proper medication for their, I know plenty of people that are bipolar and stuff like that. They're on medication, they have jobs, they have lives, they're not living on the street because they're getting treatment. A 1 and a 2. Too bad Graham and Jimmy can't wire their shows together somehow right now. Can you pop over to Jimmy's house, Graham? Haha! We live considerably far apart. Yeah, his internet went down. He usually does his on Saturday. NPK knowledge. Why does the government need to step in and fix everyone's problems? All government does is make laws to further enslave the individual. This current government, yeah, but that's government's responsibility. When government's done correctly, it should be about the social contract and making everything and monitoring and making things better for all of its citizens. That's what government initially was designed for. That's what it was designed for. That's what it should be. This government in its current form, no. But this, like, I don't buy the, like, well, just let the marketplace, that's capitalism talking. Get the government out. That's what the Republicans always say. Get the government out of our lives. Oh, unless it's gay marriage or abortion, then the government needs to be in there, right? It's nonsense. So the government could do amazing things, but it can't do it on its own. It does need business to come in. But when big business controls the government and all of the politicians and all of the major institutions, then government doesn't function because it's not government right now. The American government is not serving the people. It is not a representative democracy as it was designed. It is a corporate representative. That's what the government, that's what politicians are. They represent the corporate benefactors. They don't represent the people. So if we get a government that's actually back to representing the people, then it should be taking care of all of its citizens. Because this is the richest country in the history of the world. Don't let that failed capitalist nonsense that has been fed primarily to the Republican Party to get poor people. That's how the Republican Party, that's how corporations got poor people to vote against their own interests. Poor and working class people vote against their own interests when they side with the Republican Party, as do the Democrats. The Democrats are bags of shit, but they sell this bill of goods. But I've heard so many poor and working class people say that. Kirk Ampong. Hi, Graham. I work at Amazon and started following you after your video talking about Jeff Bezos' Amazon. Love the content. Keep it up. My pleasure, my friend. Stable, genius, progressive. Good luck with that. Can we disrespect Hillary? She's one of the undead. Haha. All right, where are we at here? Where are we at? Okay. Where are we at? 77 minutes? So, as I said earlier, but I'll repeat it, next week, Ron Placona and I are doing Progressive Comedy Tour. Wednesday, May 9th, we are at the Tempe Improv. Thursday, May 10th, we are at Pennington's Pub in Lake Havasu, Arizona. Friday the 11th, we are at the Center for Science and Thinking or something like that, Friday the 11th. And Saturday the 12th, we are at the Comedy Palace in beautiful San Diego, California. We are now putting together a tour in June in the Mid-Atlantic states. June 20th, we are in Nashville at the Zanies. That is now on their website, so you can buy tickets for that. These next dates following that, I don't think the ticketing is up yet, but I will as soon as I get it. Thursday the 21st, we're in Huntsville, Alabama. Friday the 22nd, we are in Asheville, North Carolina. Saturday the 23rd, we are in Knoxville, Tennessee. And Sunday the 24th, we are in Atlanta. And then August 9th, I'm doing Political Vigilante live in Seattle. So if you're in Seattle, August 9th, I'm doing Political Vigilante live. The ticketing for that is at grahamelwood.com. August 11th, I'm doing stand-up comedy. Mike Schmidt and I are each doing sets, like long 30, 40-minute sets. And that's August 11th. Michael Stiegel Jr., I'm sorry you're going to miss the show. The finger of doom. Jimmy City might do a show in Tucson when Graham's there. Oh, look at that. Okay. Kirk Ampong, Bezos is a maniac. Word on the street is many years ago at a worker conference, he said, I don't believe in work-life balance because if you're a great employee, work becomes your life. Oh, God, what a lunatic. Carrie Nichols, I just bought my tickets for Seattle the 11th. Thank you, Carrie. We'll see you up there. That's crazy. So if we do decent ticket sales at all of these road shows, we'll start doing more of them. And Jimmy's got some road dates coming up. I might be traveling with him for some of them. I don't know yet. I put it out there to him, so I don't know. It's all really up to how him and Stephanie, who they have on their panels when they travel and all that stuff. So, we don't know. T.S. Graham, any thoughts on Canadian politics? You down with NDP or the Greens? I don't know that much about Canadian politics, but I'm down with the Green Party for sure, anywhere they're at, you know. And I would love to see them win anywhere, in any country. I'd love to see it. I know Justin Trudeau is another sort of, you know, fake progressive like Obama, and I know he's got paid by the oil industry. They flew him down to Houston like last year or year or so, maybe 2 years ago, and Justin Trudeau was like, we've got all this oil underground in Canada, and it would be a crime not to go get it, and that got like a round of applause in front of a bunch of oil dicks down in Texas. So that's what I know of Canadian politics, and I know that Trudeau is a white Obama. Natural progressive. Come to Utah in the summer. I'll try. I know the people at the comedy club. I forget the one in Salt Lake, but I've been there before. I can look it up and perform there. So I might, yeah, I wouldn't mind coming to Salt Lake. It's beautiful, huh? Beautiful. Stable Genius Progressives, do you guys think Kucinich will win in Ohio? Man, it's looking good. That is such a promising thing here. And it's stuff to look at when any of you are like getting down and there's no hope and blah, blah, blah. Look at stuff like that. Look at this trend. Look at Kucinich, what he's doing, the momentum he's getting. I know he's a threat and they'll try to wipe him out and smear him and all this other stuff, but he could win. And what if he does? It'll be big victories. Those will be big victories, man. Those will swing more progressives in power and things will start changing. I firmly believe it because I'm seeing it. The fact that people running as open socialists, I'm openly socialist, and I'm running and people are winning offices. That's not a small thing. That's big. And that's the kind of groundswell we've been talking about on this show for the last year and why this year, 2018, is so critical. That's why you got to support progressives in whatever way. Don't do the lesser of two evils because that's still evil. Still evil. Oil dicks. They're called oil derricks. Sorry, I mispronounced oil dick. Shelby Hall, he's going to attack fracking if he wins. Yes, he will. Plantastic Lice, you heard socialism is making inroads in Texas. Yeah, so the Democratic Socialists of America, their membership since the election in 2016 has like gone way up, and they've opened up more offices in the state of Texas, the reddest of red states. That's why at the top of the show I said the Democratic Socialists of America and the Green Party needs to go in the reddest districts in the reddest states, even red districts in blue states. Like we have some pretty red districts here in California, and go say, look, because those red people are never going to vote Democrat. Never. So you have an advantage of saying, the Democrats hate us. We're for workers' rights. We believe that if we do this Green New Deal, it gets more workers' jobs, you know? And point to that small town in Texas that's like the reddest state in the reddest county that's got all green energy. That's what the DSA and the Greens should be doing. They should be going into the reddest of states where the Democrats don't even try and go, hey, look, you ever thought about voting socialist? You know, yeah, you're going to get some people like, oh, well, if you're If you're pro-choice or you're against the Second Amendment, forget it. You're going to get some of those people. You're going to get some people going, we could probably use gun reform. I'm telling you. Red districts, it's called Orange County. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Plantastic Life. You're right, Graham. Look how West Virginia responded to Bernie. Exactly. Exactly. All that, oh, Bernie wouldn't have won. Those are just Hillary supporters say that. Because then it justifies how they cheated him. But he would have crushed Trump. I mean, come on. All the people that hated Hillary and just weren't that big of fans of Trump would have voted for Bernie. All those districts that voted for Obama twice that didn't. That article we talked about in the Jimmy Dore show, the New York Times, they went to that black barber shop in Milwaukee, and all these black men were like, yeah, I didn't vote. Or one guy said, the hell with it, I voted for Trump because Obama let us down. Those folks would have voted for Bernie. People in West Virginia would have voted for Bernie. All the blue states, because he actually would have campaigned in Wisconsin and Michigan. He would have crushed Trump. Crushed him. And it would be this new progressive socialist revolution in America right now. But thanks to the Democrats, that never happened. Oh. Shelby Hall, how does restricting abortion feed family? That's funny. Cyberclue, it's all about the policy, not the title. I mean, Sam Ronan is running as a Republican, but he won't act like a typical Republican. Absolutely. Look at Rand Paul. I mean, there's actual Republicans out there that are like what the Republican Party used to be. Not this crazy right-wing psycho group that it is now. So, Shelby Hall, they need to focus on economics. People will go where the money was. Absolutely. What affects average Americans' daily lives is the money. The jobs you're making, healthcare, schools. Go after that. That's what the DSA and the Greens should be doing. Going into the reddest of states and going boom. They absolutely should be doing that. Yeah. Time for a second party. Yep. It's all about that money. James Fire. Well, guys, I got to get going. This was always, it's always fantastic talking to you. Money, money, money. Time for a second party. There's a couple more posts here I'm seeing. Cyberclue, don't forget the environment. Otherwise, you can't spend money on a dead planet. Absolutely. Chris Foster, you should have seen the BBC telling us that it was a disappointing result for Labour because they didn't win as many seats as they were hoping to. What? Yeah, of course. Of course. Don't listen to the corporate media. That's the other thing you can do. You can point out the corporate media. Say, I think MSNBC is full of shit. Because the Democrats come in with this like, it's MSNBC versus Fox. And I just say, I think all the corporate media is nonsense. I go, look who's buying ad time. Look who's buying ad time. James Kelton, I hope to see you in Vegas this Friday. All right, folks, I just want to thank everyone that did the super chat. Shelby Hall, thank you so much. Plantastic Life, thank you so much. Thank you for offering your help. Sean Comets, thank you for telling us your story in Denver. Natural Progressive, thank you for your horse babies. Plantastic Life again. Natural Progressive again. Thank you for bringing up how Utah handles the homeless problem. It was a great discussion today, you guys, about the homeless issue and how we can fix it and what we can do about it and what issues need to be addressed. I really appreciate that. Marcia Smith, thank you. I like the discussion, you guys. I like the debate. And it's a healthy, polite. No one's getting mean, calling each other. No one's saying crazy bullshit. No trolls today. Hey, look at that. You guys are great. Please go to grahamelwood.com for all of my tour dates. And please come to Tempe, Arizona next Wednesday, Lake Havasu Thursday the 10th, Friday the 11th of May in Vegas, and Saturday the 12th in San Diego, and then June 20th in Nashville. Please come out to these shows. I will be doing some fan interviews after the shows, time permitting. I'll be doing fan interviews after the shows. Even if it's just me holding up my phone going, I'll be doing those for sure. I love doing those. I might even do some Q&As at these. And then August 9th, I'll be doing Political Vigilante live in Seattle. And August 11th, I'll be doing stand-up comedy with Mike Schmidt in Seattle. So come out to the live shows, you guys. If I do a second season of the FNX thing, it'll probably be this fall, and it means I won't be able to go on the road. So that's why I'm trying to do some road stuff this summer. Come out to all the shows. I unfortunately can't come to all of your cities, but I'm making an effort, as is Ron. Ronnie. So you guys are fantastic. And, you know, it's just a random freak event that Jimmy was doing his at the same time because his internet usually does his on Saturday. And I usually do mine late in the day, Saturday after his, that's why I picked Sunday. So sorry about that. That was just a crazy thing. His internet went down. I didn't realize he was doing it already. And this is the only time I could do it today anyway. But thank you those who watched both. And thank you everybody that contributed to the show. One more time, Shelby Hall, Plantastic Life, Sean Comets, Natural Progressive, Plantastic Life again, Natural Progressive again, and Marcia Smith. Really appreciate you guys. Socks and blessings. Scrabble Eddie, one last question. Is a vote for the two-party neocon lobbyist system a vote for corporate government media? Yes. Hope that answered your question. You guys are fantastic. Here comes the big Make Gotham Great Again. Oh, by the way, I'm getting Make Gotham Great Again shirts, and I'll be selling them at all my shows and probably start selling them online too. So I will be selling Make Gotham Great Again shirts. Maybe I'll make that a Patreon tier. Whoop, 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 whoop. Thank you for supporting the show. Have a great night and weekend. There's the finger of doom and truth.